Hey, your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. The covert narcissistic female. Is she borderline? Is she psychopathic? What is the actual situation going on here? Truth of the matter is, a lot of these people do not seek help on their own. They're aware that they are different. They're aware that they're extreme, but they actually highly prize these qualities about themselves. So there can usually and generally be a blend of this type of, a lot of the behaviors that characterize all these behavior disorders, or personality disorders within the person. And you know, they might have been diagnosed as such if there were certain issues with them growing up, or you know, they found themselves in legal trouble because of their risky, immoral, or illegal behavior. But overall, I mean, there's generally a couple things that you need to know. For one, and keeping it simple here, is that really any of the behaviors that they see, that they've, you know, abused you, been abusive towards you, either through things that they've said, ways that they've treated you, the way that they seem to favor others, you know, sort of treat them like they're golden and you're a scapegoat. You are, you know, you are love bombed, so you are cherished for certain unique things, and they will say, you're such a wonderful cook, you're such a wonderful father, you're such a wonderful provider, but yeah, and they'll teach you, you know, treat you like crap. And this creates basically, this is a cognitive dissonance, which means their behavior does not match what they're saying. So, of course, we always have to pay attention to what somebody does, not what they say. So that's why it's so important to go no contact, because you can really start to get perspective on these people. And number one, I want you to realize that it is not your fault. You did not dissatisfy them in any way. There is not something that makes you primary, secondary, tertiary to them. It is a disorder that they have within themselves, and they always juggle these balls around almost like a pinball. If you've seen like a pinball machine, imagine it, rather than having one ball, they have like 3 or 4 or 5 going around simultaneously, and they're all kind of trying to work these and hit their high points, which high points for them are, where can I feel more in control, who can I have more power over, who can I have more clout with, status, things of that nature. So, you know, and status can be absorbing your time, status can mean making you cry, status can mean making you feel weak, status can mean ruining your life, status to them can mean ruining your reputation. Status and power to them can mean having you treat them out for a lot of dinners or pay their bills. Status and manipulation can be the ability to deny you and you know, respond to you intermittently, or various other things which give them a sense of status over you, clout over you, which is ultimately a mistreatment and an abuse. So one thing I really want you to understand and gain from this channel is number one, understanding that it's not you. You are not crazy. You are not less than. You are merely feeling really the effect of being almost like a puppet. Almost like you are an underling, or what they would call a pawn, something that someone likes to move around to their advantage and protect them from certain things. In other words, your role in their life is like basically to lash out on. And if you have been, you know, feeling like where you're idealized, where they treat you super well, but then they kind of like kick you to the curb for no reason whatsoever, there's nothing that you've done, there's nothing really that you've said, they're just having basically, you know, it's just their personality disorder in full bloom. You know, do not feel that there's anything you can do, or don't feel that it's any better for the situation for anyone else who's involved with them, because they're going to go through that whole cycle of love bombing you and discarding you. They're just going to always go through that whole, you know, and degradation, of course. I mean, they're going to do this, and they're going to go through this cycle various times with you. So realize that it's not your fault. If you're being mistreated, if you're being overlooked, if you're being ignored, if this person is your parent and you really need them to like be an adult and you really need them to be mature, Just try to separate yourself a little bit and try to understand that this person has basically a disorder, and it's nothing that you've done. It's nothing you can really help them through. It's nothing you can really do to change. You just have to really learn, rather than trying to pay attention to them, fix them, help them, looking for their approval, which I would say a lot of people who get victimized by, this sort of, abuse, covert psychopathic abuse, is that they always try to feel like they want to work to impress this person. This is also a very similar concept to codependence, where you basically, you're born into this life to try to become your best person. You're born into this life to fulfill your happiness and joy. That is the ultimate goal of life. It's not drudgery. It's not being a martyr. It's not, working all the time 24/7, and it's certainly not working 24/7 to please another person. When we fall into this trap, when we fall into this demise, when we fall into this sort of, requirement or this role that this other person has put us into, that is, we're slowly starting to chip away at our own needs and putting them first, which means basically they're getting like the longer fishing pole, you're getting the shorter fishing pole, if any, and you're just trying to get yourself a fish, you're just trying to get yourself some attention, you're just trying to, have your own go at life and your own tug at life, and then meanwhile, they're trying to break off more of yours and put it on theirs so they can get a longer fishing pole, throw it out farther, and get more for themselves, if that makes any sense. They really like to kind of degrade others and belittle others and demean others because it gives them more. It gives them more power, it gives them more action. It's almost like it gives them more focus on what's in it for them. And even though by nature and virtue of them being in a relationship with you, they should parent you, they should give you affection, they should give you guidance, they should give you respect and courtesy, they should give you acknowledgement, they should hear you out, they should applaud you for your accomplishments, they should acknowledge you for all the great things that you've done. And what happens, and what they realize, the psychopath really realizes, is that if they don't mirror that back to you, like, you're eventually going to feel a depression or a lack of energy inside. And they realize that if they don't reflect that back to you, you don't have the opportunity to feel good about yourself. And so it makes them feel more powerful, and it allows them to create this chaos in their environment, where then they can be basically calling all the shots. And why it's gratifying for them, it's just they feel like they're the king and everyone else can be underneath, and they feel, entitled to act and be this way, but realize that they act this way because they are really missing an empathy. They're really missing kind of like that gut connection with other people. They just don't have that. So they're actually missing a lot. Contrary to all their fluff that they seem to have with their friends, their clout, the status, they're really quite empty inside, and, you really need to kind of like let them go in forgiveness, even though it's very hard if you feel like, well, I deserve to be treated in fairness. I deserve to be treated with conversation. I deserve to be acknowledged, and I see that they're doing this to other people and not to me. See, that's a ploy. That's a tool that they use to try to get you off your rocker. And even if you're acting negatively, this is perceived as positive for them, because they're creating, it's like a one-way street. They're creating this effect on you. And for them, it's just like, almost like a video game. I got that guy down, I got this guy down, I got this guy down, and like I'm closer to my goal. So it's really kind of horrific. It's very terrible to be around. It can be very terrorizing, and especially if you have not extracted yourself from the environment, or you're kind of captive in their environment, it can be very, very, very emotionally upsetting. It's a very unhappy feeling, but really more feeling like, you've been betrayed and really kind of victimized, But there's really kind of another feeling that I'm looking for here, and I'll bring it to you in just a moment. It's really a feeling of just being vindicated, just, you know, being blackmailed, like you're just being taken advantage of for no reason, and so it doesn't make any sense to you. And so you start having this confusion, which again is going to get you off of your game, and you're not able to focus on you. So my number one recommendation, if this is, you know, someone in your environment, unplug from them. Get away from them as much as possible. Be very silent around them. Don't share with them your personal business. Do not share with them your personal goals and values. Do not try to please them. Do not try to please them, because working harder for them and sharing with them, oh, I just did this, oh, I just did that, you know, you would feel so proud of me. Bring it back into you and start, you know, focusing on you, your goals, and what makes you happy, and do it for the sake of validating yourself, because you're never ever going to get it from them, and it's not going to get better. In fact, it only usually becomes more pronounced or more expressed, or, you know, they grow to be more psychopathic while you grow to be more genuine and authentic. So you might as well come to grips with it and accept it, learn about it, and then let them go and get some distance between the two of you so they can't continue to inflict abuse. Peace and harmony with you here today. Hoping these videos help and give you some perspective, knowledge, and tools on not only on how to identify, but how to cope. Please share, please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support. Love you.